When the season began, TCU and SMU felt like this game was going to be much bigger than it is. Now it's still a rivalry game and it's still a very important game, but it feels like it's lost some of its flair. And that has to do with both teams losing their last games. And you feel like maybe this doesn't have the excitement that it should. That being said, I still think that it's going to be a fun game. I think that both teams are ready to get back on the right foot. And the team that loses this game could be reeling after this week. Now, TCU is coming off a very difficult loss to UCF, one in which they had the lead for most of the game, and UCF made a little bit of a comeback. They're obviously feeling very disappointed about that, but they also know that they're capable of bouncing back in a big way. Offense is very explosive. We've seen that time and time again. They have quite a few playmakers that we'll go over today. The defense obviously needs to step up. Now, when you look at what SMU brings to the table, kind of the same thing. You're feeling very disappointed after the loss to BYU. You are going through a quarterback change. You have plenty of playmakers that could make you better. It's just a matter of figuring things out. So while they both come in with losses, I think both are coming in with different perspectives of their previous week. And SMU is preparing for TCU as hard as they can. And now they have kind of some direction offensively, it feels like. We'll see if that truly plays out in their favor. But I think when you're looking at this game, all bets are off. You don't know what you're going to get from either side. You don't know how each team can respond to losing games the way that they did. It was very disappointing for both sides. And now they're looking to bounce back. Burning questions for both teams. Here's leading into this. Can TCU bounce back the way that they want to after a tough loss? Losing last week was very frustrating, but you also can't let that affect you in this game. You cannot let a team like SMU to give you another loss because that makes you feel very different about this season at 2-2 than if you're 3-1. For SMU, is Kevin Jennings actually the answer at quarterback? So far, he has looked like the better quarterback. He has been the more consistent quarterback than Preston Stone, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he is the long-term answer because when you look at that BYU game, yes, in the first half, Kevin Jennings was clearly the better quarterback. But I also think that he struggled in the second half when they had to throw the football, when they were forced to make plays through the air. And you saw that Kevin Jennings doesn't quite have the arm talent that Preston Stone does. Now, he does bring that dual threat ability, which is why he's going to be the starter. And that's going to be interesting to watch in terms of can he get his playmakers to football? Because the matchup I'm curious to watch for what we saw last week is TCU's defensive backs against SMU's wide receivers. Now, Kobe Hudson for UCF tore apart TCU's secondary. And while I don't necessarily know if SMU has a Kobe Hudson on their team, I do think that they have plenty of wide receiver talent as well as the tight ends that are going to make life very difficult for TCU's defensive backfield. And this is a team that needs to bounce back in a big way for TCU and SMU as well. But the defensive backfield is the one that feels like they need to step up in a big way. TCU is a 2.5 point favorite right now, which makes sense because of what we've seen from these teams. But SMU is very capable of winning this football game. Like I said before, Kevin Jennings is going to have everyone's eyes on him. They're going to see what he's capable of doing. The dual threat ability makes him a little bit of a more difficult threat than Preston Stone, which is good for SMU. It gives TCU plenty to think about offensively. And it'll be interesting to see if his arm is truly what can get SMU over the top. We know he can run. We've seen him make some short throws, but can you make those deeper throws, those sideline throws that are opposite hash, those kind of things? What can you do to make this offense better? And right now, the question for Kevin Jennings is can your arm improve to get your offense in a better position? Brashard Smith has been a phenomenal addition by Rhett Lashley for this offense. He has been really explosive, very quick back, and someone who can break off a big play at any moment. RJ Maryland has been the go-to guy in the passing attack for this team, and the Mustangs really like what they have in him. He has proven that he is a reliable target time and time again, especially in clutch situations. So keep an eye on what he can do to provide mismatches for SMU's offense. Isaiah Smith has come in and stepped up in a big way, played a little bit of a bigger role this year than what we saw from last year. He has been very disruptive for this team, been in defense offensive backfields quite a bit. Kobe Wilson is the leader of that defense. He has been getting everybody in position. He's flying around the field. Really fun player to watch, someone who can have a big impact on this game as well. The impact players for TCU, we saw what Jack Besh can do in an explosive role last week, and we expect big things from him once again against this SMU secondary that kind of flies under the radar. And now they're going to get tested with this wide receiver group. Now, Savion Williams also makes life very difficult. Same with JP Richardson. That's a good trio for TCU. And Beshich had a really good game last week. That makes life for Josh Hoover very easy and not too challenging if you're looking to bounce back and get a win. Cam Cook is kind of flying under the radar as a running back. He's really fun to watch. I think that he has that explosiveness in him. You're kind of just waiting for him to break off that big play, but he also has that wiggle to pick up some extra yards, make some guys miss. He's really fun to watch if you haven't watched him yet. The defense, like I said, has to bounce back. And I think a lot of people are looking at Travis Broughton and what happened last week. Kobe Hudson's really good. I think that that's one thing you have to give credit to. Kobe Hudson is just a phenomenal talent. He's someone that's going to make a lot of people look ridiculous. And at times, just Travis Broughton was struggling, but it's a great opportunity for him to bounce back. He was in position a lot of the times. It wasn't like he was getting burned deep, but you obviously saw some struggles from him, and you'd like to see the secondary take a little bit of a step forward, especially against this explosive offense. Nnamdi Obiazor is another guy to keep an eye on. He is someone who had a big year in 2023, already off to a good start in 2024. So again, both sides have plenty of talent to make this back in the win column, get back on track. It's just a matter of which side can fix their mistakes quicker and which side can identify what the other team's trying to do. This is going to be a really fun matchup. Sonny Dykes against Rhett Lashley is always exciting. These offenses have so much potential in terms of being explosive, and it's going to be fun to see which one of these teams can get back in the win column and which team is going to get back to the drawing board to figure out how to improve on a 2-2 season.